What's going on, guys? What's up, Math of Finance people? Forgot to upload your video, and then I deleted it. So here it is again. Okay, real quick, we'll go through your week 2 assignment. Okay, week 1, I didn't really put out a video. I felt like it was pretty self-explanatory and something you should probably know, and if you didn't, you probably could have figured out pretty quick off of Google or something. But this week, I am going to put out a quick little video. The first thing I asked you to do was solve an equation. Okay, good review of that, and we're going to do some more solving equations, a little bit tougher ones. But the steps are usually always the same. You need to distribute is your first step if you have to. If you have parentheses, your second step is going to combine like terms. The next step is getting your variables on the left and then your numbers on the right. And then the last step is to get the variable completely alone. Those are always your same steps. There's a few other steps you could throw in, and you'll see those on the final 2 problems. But on this first one, it's pretty straightforward. I don't have parentheses, so I don't need to do step 1. So I'm going to go straight to combining like terms. Don't have any of those either. Okay, nothing on the left side can be combined. Can't combine those two. One of them has an x, one of them doesn't. And over here, it's just a 16. Can't do anything with that right now. So I'm going to get my variables on the left. Well, looky here. Here's the equal sign. It's already on the left. Okay, so kind of a nice problem. But I do need to get my numbers on the right, so I'm going to start by doing that. Now, you can't move this 2/3. Okay, when you solve an equation, addition and subtraction need to be moved away first. So I'm going to move this 12 by subtracting it because it's positive right now. So I have 2/3 x equals 4. Now the variable's not completely alone yet. I need to get rid of this 2/3. So good review, if you forgot, to get rid of a 2/3, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal on both sides, because whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other side. Now, when you multiply by the reciprocal, this 2 cancels with this 2, this 3 cancels with this 3, and boom, it's gone. It makes a 1, which is exactly what we want. So we just have x all by itself. And on the other side, you multiply 4 times 3/2. Now, if you don't have a calculator, you do 4 times 3, which is 12, and then divide by this 2, so you get 6. And that's our answer. Okay, pretty simple, straightforward one. The next one actually has parentheses, so that's where I'm going to start. I got to distribute. So I get 4x plus 8 equals 2x minus 16. Now, I don't have like terms. These two things cannot be combined. One has an x, one of them doesn't. Same over here. I cannot combine these two things. Okay? So, no like terms. Let's go ahead and get our x's on the left. So to do that, I'm going to subtract this 2x over here to his buddy. While I'm at it, I need to get numbers on the right, so I might as well just subtract this 8 over to his buddy. So when I do that, I get 4x minus 2x is 2x equals negative 16 minus 8 is a negative 24. And then my last step, to get rid of this 2, it's getting multiplied by this x. Again, there's nothing in between this 2 and this x, so that means they're getting multiplied. So the only way to undo multiplication is to divide. So I divide both sides by 2, and I get x equals negative 12. Boom. Okay, so that's an example of one you'd have to distribute on. This one's a little bit different, and the fact that this entire left side is one big old fraction. So we got to take care of that first, because all these other ones have been like one single line. There may have been a small fraction in there, like 2/3 on this one right here, but that was just a single fraction. This entire left side is a fraction. So before I can get to moving this 3 and this 2, I got to get rid of this 4. Okay? Because I can't get to this 3 and this 2 because they're in the top of this fraction. All right? So to get rid of the bottom of this fraction, well, a fraction is division, so I'm going to multiply by 4. And those 4's cancel each other out. That's the point of it. But if you do it to the left side, you got to do it to the right side. And now it's just one single line, no fractions, no division, so we continue with what we normally do. We need to get our numbers to the right. and then get rid of this 2 by dividing it. And 15 over 2 is a fine answer. Okay, you can leave it like that since this is math of finance. If you want to give me 7.5, which is what that is, that's totally fine too. Okay, but again, this one was different because the entire left side was one big fraction. And you can't have that. You got to have one line problems. Okay, this at a top, a bottom, that's not one line. Okay, so we had to get rid of that 4, so we multiplied it to the other side. And then the last one, there's a fraction on both sides. Look at that. Left side's one big old fraction. Right side is a fraction. It's not a big fraction, but it's a fraction. So whenever both sides are a fraction, we're going to cross multiply. So when I do this 2x plus 6, and I'm going to multiply it by 3, I need to write the 2x plus 6 in parentheses, okay? Because it's not just one thing. It's a 2x plus a 6. It's two things. So we got to put it in parentheses. And then 5 times 4, well, that's just 20. Okay, so we're going to cross multiply both sides of the equation as a fraction. And again, if you have two things, 2x plus 6, it's got to go in parentheses because I got to know that this 3's got to get multiplied by both of them. Which gets me a 6x plus 18 equals 20. And then we finish up with our normal steps. Get our numbers to the right because our variable's already on the left, right? He's already over here. He's on the left side. So I got 6x equals 2. Last step, again, to get rid of this 6, I got to divide it. It's getting multiplied right now. So when I divide 2 divided by 6, that's the same as 1/3. Okay, if you gave me a decimal, it'd be 0.333. So you put that little bar there so that I know it's repeating. But I'd like us to stick with fractions. So let's just keep it at 1/3. But I won't count it wrong if you give me the decimal. Okay. So those last two are a little bit different because an entire side was a fraction. So you got to account for that. You got to either just multiply this denominator over here, or you got to cross multiply like we did here on number 4. So that's some review of solving equations. Then I did give you a little bit of slope. Okay, here's our equation when we're talking slope. All right, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now I am going to give you a real world problem. And if it's a real world problem, you got to create the points. And I'll show you how to do that here in a sec. Let's do the straightforward problem first. Okay, if I need to find this slope, I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, remember the first point, when you have a point, the first one's the x, the second one's the y. So this is my first entire point. I label it x1, y1. This is my second one. I label it x2, y2. Now I find the slope. y2 is a -8 minus a -6. Pay attention to those minus and negatives there. And then my x2 is 7 minus 3, which is my x1. So on the top, I have -8 minus a -6, okay, which becomes a -2. In the bottom, I get 7 minus 3, which is 4. And a -2 over 4 is the same as a -1/2. So my slope is -1/2. That's all you got to do when I ask you to find the slope for right now. Okay. But let's say I gave you a problem. Like this is kind of similar to the one I gave you, a little bit different. But it says a car with a 10-gallon gas tank took $17.50 to fill up. And we're assuming they're empty. I didn't put that, but let's say we are. Another car with a 22-gallon tank took $38.50 to fill up. Okay. So I want to know what is the price for a gallon of gas. So in the real world here, there's an independent and a dependent variable. Okay, the independent variable is, well, the size of the tank, right? We can't control that. The tank's the tank. Okay, so this is how much our tank can hold. Okay. And that's our gallons. We can't control how many gallons of gas our car takes, right? When it's empty. To fill it up, it's a certain number. Our tank is only so big. Now, what changes, though, is how much money, how much money I spend, The amount of gallons of gas I need causes us to spend so much money. So basically what I'm trying to say is the money is dependent, right? The money is dependent on how many gallons of gas you need. So the price for a gallon of gas, so the money per gallon, what our dependent variable is going to be our money, And what's independent is our gallons of gas. And so we're going to find our slope this way. All right, we're going to create 2 points. Our first point is I had 10 gallons of gas and it cost $17.50. And we had a 22-gallon tank, which caused us to spend $38.50 to fill it up. Again, the X is your independent variable. All right, it's the one that doesn't change. My gas tank, my gallons to fill it up from empty is only so much. It's set. For this one, it's 10 gallons. That's how big my tank is. I need to fill it up. This one, the other car, it's 22 gallons. I need to fill it up. Now, those are independent. My price or my total cost to fill it up is dependent on how much gas I need. So, X, Y, the X is independent, the Y is dependent. So this is now x1, y1, this is now x2, y2. And I can find my slope. I'm going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I get 11, 21 on the top. And on the bottom, I get 12. Now, since we're talking real-world applications, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do, when we divide these, we're going to go ahead and let it be a decimal because it's real-world. So when I do this division, I get $1.75 per gallon. Okay, that's a real-world application of slope. A gallon of gas is $1.75 per gallon. Okay, yours is somewhat similar. It's a phone plan, I think, or something like that. Okay, again, make sure you're looking on the website, turning in your work, asking me questions through email if you have any. Again, if you're on an IEP, I put on there you only need to do the first 5 on each assignment, and that'll be pretty consistent. But make sure you're turning your stuff in, doing what you need to do. We got about a month left of this. We're going to get through it. I'm not going to overload you with work, but I do want to make sure that you're doing some math and not just, not doing any math. That's not going to help anybody. Okay? But I hope the breaks, this quarantine's going well for you. I miss you guys, and hopefully I'll see you soon.